Hello, everybody. It is Sam, the Reclaimer developer, and it has been a long time since I have done pretty much anything with the channel. Uh, I may not be streaming, but I am doing this live, warts and all. So if Seraph wants to jump on the keyboard and just mess everything up, he's gonna do that. Who knows what can happen. But um, I made a video about like the pretty much the state of the channel and the project, and like everything else that's going to be going on, at least for 2024, and like where, like what the hell's been going on for like the past 6 months. So, yeah. Spoiler alert: I'm not dead, and neither is the project. And this is the first in a series that I'm calling I Am Stupid. And so the point of this series is to sort of do retrospectives on the Reclaimer, like how the state of development went. And I'm looking for Seraph. You want to come over here, bud? Yeah, just having a little ADD moment here. Let's see if he wants to sit back on my lap again. Yeah, here we go, buddy. Yeah, just show your butt to the camera and everyone. So, yeah, retrospectives. I want to look at the Reclaimer through a retrospective lens and sort of fix past mistakes and get an idea of things that I want to do better. And while 2023 was extremely productive, at least the first half of the year before like all the life changes and everything, we were pretty much rocking the schedule. So I don't think I have that schedule anymore. It's in past videos if you want to go look that up. But I was pretty much doing like a monthly update, like a sprint type deal. I may go back to doing that, but I had... what sort of kicked those sprints off was I had a set of goals, and it was specifically this one right here. So this is a list that I made near the end of 2022, and the game was in a very pitiful state at the time. It was just basically an OpenGL renderer that kind of did stuff. Like it just basically rendered a single cube and can kind of tilt the scene around a little bit. So in terms of that, it's come a long way. But one thing that kept me productive was having something to look at and say, this is what I'm gonna do. So the entity system, we have something there. The skybox we've got working. The debug system, we have mostly done this. Like this right here, we're still gonna be working on. Like you can't click on things and dive into them. But then again, we don't really have anything going on. So there's just Adam and the Reclaimer, and he's just sitting there in the center of the OpenGL scene, and that's pretty much it. And I am going to reduce this pen size a bit. There we go. So, no, go away. And so pretty much the goal for today is we're just going to be looking through the code base because it has been a long time since I've even looked through the Reclaimer. Like, I think it's been, gosh, going on 6 months. A lot of stuff has happened, but we're getting back into it. So, I do want to just kind of talk, just sort of like the opening act. Hang on, I'm going to go let Seraph out because he is wanting to go out to the living room. What, buddy? Here you go. All right. Sorry about that. Now you get to see me in my PJs. But um I wanted to do this live, and you know, it's fitting for a series called I Am Stupid, right? So I I used to stream on Twitch like every like last day of the month or the last week of the month thereabouts when I would pick a day where I'm like, okay, we're gonna wrap up whatever we're working on the Reclaimer and stream like the final touches, or at least getting it in a state where we're gonna move on to the next thing. And I would stream on Twitch, and all of like 2 people would show up. I think there was like the last 2. I only did like 4. I did one in a cat suit, and no one even showed up or asked questions. And that's, I mean, like, that is what it is. Like, I'm not complaining at all. But I decided to move to YouTube because at least I have subscribers, right? So I may as well do stuff for my audience and at least build up an audience here. If Twitch is the platform I need to be on, I'll figure something out. But I was like, so how do I tie OBS in to YouTube, which, you know, is an easy thing. And there's a guide that's like, hey, there's an easy way you can do this. Just go into YouTube Studio, click go live, and then wait 24 hours. Well, gee, thanks. I did not know that you had to do that. So, so this is what we got. I'm still going to be doing this live, as in I'm not making any edits to this video. It's like what you see, warts and all. As long as I don't have like a, you know, family emergency where I have to take care of a baby or something like that, then we'll be fine. Nora's in the other room with her mother, and they're both doing great. My wife is working on a game, actually, one of her own, and it's more of a, I wouldn't call it a game, more of a supplement, like a digital supplement to tabletop RPGs, where you can like do maps and stuff like that. And there's other things out there, but she's sort of doing her own like spin on it, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what she does with it. So we're gonna go ahead and get into sort of like the meat of, you know, today's episode of I Am Stupid, the series premiere. And I'm going to talk about 1, upgrade the fucking computer. So I don't know what I have going on, but this setup here is just absolutely fraught with peril. And what I mean by that is things just do not stay working. Like, I have to keep a constant eye on like OBS, you know, the peripherals that I plug in. I just restarted this computer because my camera decided to freeze, and it was not recognized on any ports on this machine at all. I had to restart, and I had like the music in the background, OBS was running, and yeah, nothing else would recognize it. And same thing goes for like sometimes it's the microphone, and I don't know what it is. And for someone who's, you know, I don't consider myself a master or an expert or anything like that, but, you know, I know my way around a computer, you know, and it's like for someone who's even moderately adept at computers, I have so much trouble with the damn things. And, yeah, I don't know what to do about that, but it's a topic that deserves some time for me to look at. As a development machine, it's fine, but it's like I cannot use my multimedia peripherals on this machine like at all without something going wrong at some point. Like I have to keep an eye on like my mixer in OBS and make sure nothing locks up, because it's probably going to happen at some point. I may have to cut the video short. I don't know. But anyway, now with that tangent out of the way, let's dust off this thing and see what we got. Now, I'm going to go ahead and do a get fetch and make sure we have all of our branches. But we are going to go ahead and launch this and see what we got going on. It has been a while. No, I don't care about Copilot. I really don't. So, as per usual, when we launch the project for the first time, we're just gonna do a rebuild. And yep, I'm stupid, so we forgot to call dev shell. And remember, dev shell, I went over this a long time ago. All it is a script that calls another script called vcvarzal.bat, and what it does is it attaches the Visual Studio like developer context to your current command prompts. And so now I have access to like all the build tools. So we are just going to try this again. And I will probably be switching from VS Code to Vim, just because, like, did you see, like, if you hear me like clicking stuff, like hitting my keyboard and nothing happens, that's just VS Code. Like, I'm even gonna put it on the list here. Just 2, right? Look into switching to NeoVim. It's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. It's just like the learning curve is quite steep, but VS Code is just dog shit, okay? I don't know how else to say it, because I really, really enjoy it, aside from its performance issues. Like, there is absolutely no excuse for this tool to not launch instantly, build instantly, run a task instantly, and I have to wait like 5 to 10 seconds for it to get its head screwed on straight every time I click on it. It's fucking unacceptable, and I don't know why they chose to do what they did. I'm preaching to the choir, but it's absurd. It is absurd how they chose to do this. So the slowness of VS Code is beginning to justify the learning curve of some other text editor, whether it be NeoVim or Emacs, or I don't care at this point, but it's like I need something where I can at least edit my code, have syntax highlighting, and run build tasks. That's really all that I need. So let's go ahead and run this and see what we got. So Adam's not there for some reason. And I know this is the main branch. I don't know why Adam's not there. But let's see. I'm just kind of, I know there's a little bit of dead air going on, but I'm just kind of thinking. Yeah, I have no idea why he's not showing up. Let's see. Adam's there, like, from a, like, data perspective, but for some reason he's not showing up. And I know I have a, there was another branch that I was working on. Let's see. And I'm thinking here, because wow, I think it's been more than that, actually. April 2023, rig refactor. Let's go ahead and switch to this, because I think that's the latest branch. I'm fucking with the shit. Like, I was definitely approaching a, not a burnout, but definitely just, like, things were definitely ramping down with the Reclaimer's development, and he's still not there, and I don't know why. So this is, like, the physics camera, and I don't know what's going on with it. So, in my very last video, I, like the last one that I did where I was looking at the code, like you can see, like all I'm doing is like, if you watch the mouse, I'm going from left to right, but the camera is just all over the place. It's supposed to be standing still and just kind of panning and tilting, right? And if I try to move it like up and down, like, yeah, there's definitely some weird stuff going on here, and this is a side effect of trying to decouple things. There's definitely some like I'm seeing like the transcendental or like cosine trigonometric functions going on here, right? So you can tell with like those oscillations. What I think is going on is like maybe there's some other place in the code where I have not detached the old physics components or something like that, and like it's like there's like multiple places in the code that are being updated that are fighting with the like the vectors for the cameras and stuff. Because if you look here, do I have this reset? I do not. But if you look at the camera, like it's kind of lopsided. Yeah, I don't know what all that's about. Where did Adam go? We could just debug that. So what do we have like in the bin directory? Let's go ahead and launch this because his texture should at least be showing up, right? So textures. Yeah, there's Adam's texture. So I don't know why his model isn't showing up. So entity inspector. Let's look at Adam. I would want his ID. So we do have a couple things to figure out, right? And just for keeping up with just like the list, we're gonna have 3. What happened to Adam? And it's probably something with the assets, like loading in his 3D model. So one thing that we definitely need, you know what? We're going to backtrack a little bit because I'm getting into like wish list items, and this is all about like what is currently wrong with the code, and like what's, and like just sticking with the namesake of the series, like what are stupid things that are going on. Well, the big one, the by far the biggest like blunder that I've made is with the entity system, and I will get into that right here. So let's see. The primary issue with the entity system is that I wanted 0 as in the ID, like if something has an ID of 0 in an array, then that means it's null, right? But the problem with that is I have a so the IDs in the game are all integers. They're positive integers, so they are unsigned. Well, the issue with that is I would have to leave the first index and whatever array or cache that they're in empty because something can't be there because it would be null. That's a huge waste, right? So I'm trying to see if I can find a, let's see, is it components? Let's see, add type, total size, count, next free. Well, I know that I do, I just don't know if I can find a example where I do that. It could be here. Add component. You know, I'm not sure if I know off the top of my head where I put it. And this is just a side effect of coming back to this so late. But what I'm essentially saying is, like, let's say, let's see, I want to do this for, system, optimize. So let me see if I can do this, because I've got a tablet like right here, and it's the one that the camera's mounted on. And I can also see what's going on with OBS. But the stylus input is tied to this other monitor right here, which I'm looking at. And I'm left-handed, so this is just a setup that works better for me. So let's say, as an example of what's happening right now. Example of now. So, like, let's say if I have a component. And so this component could be like a vec2. For whatever reason, we have a vec2 that we're storing as a component. So it has int 32x and int 32y. So whatever, like, maximum number of entities that we can have, we create a table, aka an array, so that every single entity in the game can have a vec2, right? So this is all like pre-allocated stuff. So it would go from, like, I have this thing that goes here, to like n-1 and 0, 1, 2, 3, to n-1. Well, 0 equals null. And so bear in mind that all of these chunks are the same size. So this right here is a 64-bit struct, which is also, let's see, is that, I think that's 4 bytes, right? No, that's 8 bytes. My bad. 8 bytes. So that this right here is 8, this is 16, this is 32, this is 64, and then this is like 8 to the n-1. I think that's how that works. So the problem with how the entity system works now is this space is just empty. And that's stupid, right? Um, so, let's go back up here and just say this is stupid. Because all of this is wasted space. That's no good. So we want to like basically change our IDs to be signed. And so what we're going to do in this context is, by doing this, we can say negative IDs are invalid. So we just do a bitwise test, or just see if they're negative in any way. My daughter's crying. I may go check and see if any of them need help in a minute. But we also get the benefit of having error codes. Right? So like if I try to create a new ID, I get the benefit of like something is wrong. Something is wrong. Here's why. And I can log that, right? So, and I get to reclaim this space up here. So that would be the primary reason for doing this. Like, that is the biggest thing that, like, keeps me up at night. Like, I have literally lost sleep thinking about how I've done this. It's absurd. So, let's go to the next one. And so this one is actually going to be a very big change. Switch from OpenGL to DirectX 12. So, when I originally got the Reclaimer in the state that it was in, with using OpenGL as the graphics API, I was very happy with it. And I'm still happy with it, if I'm being honest. I would prefer to stick with OpenGL versus DirectX or Vulkan, which... I understand the arguments for Vulkan, because while things are very, again, learning curve, and it takes a lot more steps to get a basic pipeline working, but those pipelines are very streamlined compared to OpenGL and DirectX that do a little bit more for you, whereas Vulkan, you got to do everything. The reason from the switch to OpenGL to DirectX purely lies in the platforms that I want to target. I want this to be on PC. I don't know if it'll be on Steam. There's other, like, philosophical reasons why I may or may not host it on Steam, whereas, like, do I want it to be on Steam, or do I want it to be on its own platform? Like, you know, old school games back in the day, you just, like, you didn't need Steam or anything like that. You just go download it, or buy it, like a physical copy off the shelf for some reason. But that's another topic for another day, very later on down the road. But I also want this to be on the Xbox. So those are the two platforms that I want to target on the game's release date, is PC and Xbox. If you're on Mac, I don't know what to tell you. Linux, I do want support for it at some point. If you are a Mac user in 2024, you have my sympathies. So that's just going to require, unfortunately, nipping this in the bud right now and switching over to DirectX. I don't want to do that, but unfortunately, it's going to be a necessity at this point. So, yeah, that's about it. There isn't much to say about it, but I would rather not complete a renderer that's written in something that's written for a platform I don't intend to target on release day. So, I mean, there's not much else to say about it. So then we can move on to number 6. I just had it in my mind and then I forgot. Oh yeah. Game and engine architecture refactor. So let's go ahead and take a look at the like all of this. So we can close all the editors too. So if we go into the source directory, each one of these below images and meshes, just these right here are their own like execution units. And I'm not happy with that, just because of how cumbersome it is to maintain. And it's sort of a, I guess you can say when I figured out how to build DLLs, I kind of went a little crazy. So we can just put that on here. Too many DLLs. And, like, let's go ahead and just look at this. So if I go into the bin directory, like, we have a ton of DLLs. And there could be more. If I stay true to this pattern, there could be even more. And I'd rather not do that. So, what I would want to do is sort of like refactor how I think about the Reclaimer, right? In terms of like an architecture. So, I'm not even going to make a diagram of what is going on right now, but rather, you know, what I want it to be. So you have the Reclaimer. .exe. Let's see, can I highlight that? No. Let's see. Yeah, this is really irritating. I don't know why. Like, again, and OneNote just wants to lock up and not behave. So can I do this and just get rid of it? There we go. I'm about to just say this is part of the notes now. I don't even care anymore. Okay. Let's just give ourselves enough space to make mistakes. So we have the Reclaimer. .exe. Okay? So, what we have here is, like, what the user is going to click on, or, like, what is going to be launched when the user wants to play the game. But this is also going to be the platform layer. They are one and the same.
Okay? Because the executable itself is what is built
by the platform layer. And so, is that accurate, actually? I would say so, just from like a software perspective, because the API endpoints are kind of defined at that level, right? And they're also those are files, binaries that are built in such a way that the operating system understands, right? So I would say that those two are just kind of like rolled up into one. So you also have, beneath this tree, you have, and you know, I'll get to this in a minute, but like, you have, you know, Reclaimer game, the Reclaimer game .dll. That's a bad circle. So what's going on here? So think about how, like, what is a game versus a game engine? A game engine is a set of frameworks that allow you to do things from like a game programming perspective, right? So I say I want to put this character in this scene, and I want him to jump when I hit the spacebar. I want him to move forward when I hit W, backwards when I hit S, and etc. Well, that logic right there would be your game, right? But the overall frameworks that allow you to do all of those things that I just did. So what happens when you press this key? What happens when you press this other key? When I say drop this into a scene and set that up as my game, the stuff in the background that makes all that happen is your engine. Right? And I don't know if I want to call it like Reclaimer Engine or like the Reclaimer Core or like etc. So the Reclaimer game is the thing that actually has the game code. What is this level versus that level? But the concept of what a level is defined in the game engine. Like, what is an NPC? What is a player character? What is a weapon? You know, things like that are defined in the engine, but like setting up those scenes and everything, and that's mostly what it is, because honestly, like, repeatable code is going to be in the engine. Things that you see throughout every single scene, like Adam or you know, dialogue boxes and all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, things that are going to be repeated, frameworks that can be called to instantiate things are going to be defined in the engine. But like, sort of like, I guess, context specific things, like what happens in this level, what triggers this dialogue versus that dialogue, those are going to be defined in like the game DLL. And so I would say that the Reclaimer EXE loads the Reclaimer game, which then calls the specific engine libraries and frameworks and stuff to do all of that. And so finally, we have the Reclaimer renderer. So this is sort of the architecture that I'm looking for, right? And so, in the renderer, we can just swap out, we can ship it with different DLLs or whatever binaries, because on Windows or Win32/Xbox, it would be DX3D, whereas Linux would be OpenGL, and PS, PlayStation, yeah, that works, would be, whatever Sony's API is, and et cetera, et cetera. And this is in an ideal world, right? I don't know when all of this is going to take place. But this is the overall architecture that I want to shoot for, right? This nonsense about a physics DLL and an assets DLL and all this other nonsense, it's just not necessary. It makes the code a lot harder to manage, and in the engine code or the engine directory structure, you'll see stuff like physics, assets, and things of that nature. So that's pretty much it from the architecture perspective. And then I would just say, as the final thing, finish the camera rework, refactoring. We'll figure out why Adam isn't loading in, but I'd rather do stuff like this on stream where there's no dead air, because I'd rather not bore everybody with me just thinking about stuff. But from a high level perspective, that's basically it. We've got a few extra minutes. We could just try to get Adam back. I don't know what happened to him. I really don't. But what we're gonna do is pull out our handy dandy Remedy BG. And I tell you what, this is just gonna be considered a hotfix that gets pushed straight up to main. Let's see. Let's see. Branches. Rig refactor. Yeah, I was looking at different things to, different editors and stuff, because I have toyed with the idea of switching editors in the past. There's one called Lapse that's, I think, written in Rust. It's very snappy, but it's also very primitive, and it just doesn't have the same feature set that VS Code does. Emacs, it is very long in the tooth and kind of clunky. I would be open to playing with it again, but I fucking hate Lisp. And NeoVim just kind of looks like the winner, but and I know that the keystrokes are designed to keep a user's hands centered on the home row, for navigation and stuff like that. But I've never known someone who's taken the time to learn NeoVim and was that was a terrible experience, because it's apparent all the Vim users I've ever known are extremely productive. So I'm open to the idea of toying with it. But we're on main now. Let's go ahead and build this, and we are going to launch our handy dandy. I think is it RDBG Remedy. Oh, I got it down here. So, we're just going to go ahead and launch. Oh, this this is so the electric brewery I built. This is the source code for that. There's an Arduino in it, and it controls like the heating elements and reads temperatures and stuff like that. I will be making a different video on that in the future. But let's go ahead and launch and see what we got going on. Okay, so this is our scene that we all know and love. And Adam is nowhere to be seen. I remember when the zoom kind of halfway worked. It still kind of turns. Like, it shouldn't be doing that. But let's see what we got going on. Okay, we need to load Adam's model. Reclaimer model Adam. Do we call this? We do. Let's see. So that's Adam's ID. And we're adding a vertex array component. And so he has buffers, right? So he's there. And we know that his texture is getting loaded in. Add transform component. So basic stuff, right? Let's take a look at our core and see if we are loading in or updating Adam's stuff. When we create the player rig, so we create core entities, Adam create. And I think we just went down that, right? I love synthwave, dude. My wife hates it. So see, this is frustrating because it's like it was working and now it's not. And I don't know what I did to break it. You know? We could also try to keep track of buffer IDs. So when we load his model, let's see. So we do have his components, right? Why are we not doing anything? Or should we just be updating that? So we update, we clear the screen, update cameras, and draw vertex arrays. So I think textured model is what Atom is. Yeah, so rendering shader programs. So let's take a look at that. Rendering. Let's see, his is somewhere in here. Let's just go ahead and run it. Shader programs draw grid. Shader programs draw line segments. Let's see, where's the textured model update? There we go. All right. So we need the shader program for textured models. We're going to be using that program, an entity. Let's see. That's Atom. And see, we update the transforms, bind the vertex array. Yeah, that's it. Is there something wrong in the shader? It's all here. I think I may spend another like 5 minutes on it and then table this for another day. As much as it sucks to lose Adam, it's not really necessary to get this fixed to do a lot of the other things on the list. But gosh, I hate to leave it in this way. So if all that's getting called, where's his assets? Let's see. Let's go to the assets. File assets, models, reclaimer assets. So I should be getting something, right? Yeah, but the assets manager has no concept of what Adam is. No, it does. It does. So when we load a model, no, we do. Because if I go back to Adam, models Adam, so we add the vertex array component, get model buffer IDs. And they're there. You know what we could do? Like, let's just rule out that something is crazy broken in the renderer, right? So let's just go back to rendering. And we got draw vertex arrays, right? And so this is literally the only thing I want. This is it. This is all that I want. I don't even want the grid. I just want Adam. That's it. Does he load into the scene? No. Okay. So it doesn't even matter. Did his buffer make it? And so this is where we're actually going to need more debugging tools. So I can actually add this to the list and call it a day, right? We have to basically Entity Inspector like view buffer data. Right. So like this would be like, you know, ID, size in bytes, type, etc. Because that would be able to help us debug situations like this where it's like, hey, did Adam's model data actually make it to the GPU? And if it didn't, then, you know, we can dive into that a bit more. But I have streamed, I'm not even streaming. I'm stupid. So yeah, I think that's all that I'm going to say for today. And say this is the first in the I Am Stupid series. I don't know how often I'm going to update this. I think it's really when I probably take a break like I did, and I sort of come back and work on some stuff that I know was bad. It's like, you work on something, you take a break, and as you're thinking about it, you sleep on it more and more, and things are going to start to jump out at you. And I think that's just what I'm going to do. We've got a really nice list. I think this, all in all, aside from the UI bugs, there's not going to be a ton to, or at least it's not going to be a huge, like, enhancer to the experience, because the only thing that's visual is, like, how the cameras are working. But these are big ones right now. So I think with this is a good place to call it for tonight. So yeah, I'm stupid. Thank you for tuning in. And in all seriousness, if you stuck with me through this, thank you for tuning in. There wasn't a whole lot of development work going on. It's just getting caught up on the state of the game and getting a nice wish list of things to fix. So now that we've got that, I think we're in a good spot to get back into doing some actual coding. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video.